The men who women or children, that is like an inconceivable level. Like it's the same, not to dehumanize women, but like in my mind, it's like the same level as like a cat or a dog, or like that's just like an unhinged. I feel like you have to be an insanely evil, crazy person to be Jesus. That's like, ugh. But I don't know if they still do this. Hopefully they've stopped, but maybe maybe it just doesn't come up again. I think the progressive movement at its worst, I think, was when they were defending Muslim women who said that they wore hijabs as like in honor of their femininity or whatever. I think that was the cringiest, craziest point I think that progressives had ever reached, because they were so desperate to be in opposition to conservatives and Islamophobia that they were like, actually, we think the hijab is a good thing. It was like, if you want to wear a hijab, that's fine. I don't think anybody should be opposed to that. The problem was when you mandate it.
Iranian women can't post TikTok dances? What? That's a joke, right? You're saying that as a joke, right? Because, one, I don't think that's a metric for women's liberty. And two, they absolutely can. What are you talking about?
Wait, hold on. Do I have a totally backwards view of Iran, or is this old as? I thought Iran was one of those places where like a woman can't like be super uncovered and taking pictures and shit, or she'll get like or whatever. Am I making this up? Iranian woman show. I don't even know how to look up. Teenage girls arrested by Tehran over viral video of them dancing on Iranian war memorial could now face years in prison or a death penalty. Well, was this because they were women dancing, or is it because they were disrespecting some kind of state memorial thing? It's got a wiki section. Oh, a wiki section. Compulsory wearing of the hijab was reinstated for Iranian state employees after the 79 revolution. This is followed by a law requiring the wearing of the hijab in all public spaces in 1983. Non-conservative women who had worn the veil as a symbol of opposition during the revolution had not expected veiling to become mandatory, and when the veil was first made mandatory in February 1979, it was met with protests and demonstrations. The Guidance Patrol, an undercover law enforcement squad, also known as the Morality Police. Wait, this is real. Hold on. There's an Islamic religious police force and Vice Squad in the Law Enforcement Command of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Its role is to enforce Sharia laws defined by Iranian legislation, with particular focus on ensuring compliance with Islamic dress codes, such as mandating that women wear a hijab. Holy fucking... I need a based sound thing. Oh, somebody gave me Hasan things. I just haven't uploaded them yet. Mm-hmm. We've got... Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We've got laugh 2. Jesus. And then laugh 1. On Iranian's Mother's Day in 2013, the Guidance Patrol distributed flowers to women wearing the chador, the preferred style of hijab. 2014, around 220,000 women were taken to police stations and signed statements promising to comply with hijab requirements for a period of 3 months. An additional 19,000 women received hair covering notices, and 9,000 were detained for violations. I don't know if they still do this. Hopefully they've stopped, but maybe maybe it just doesn't come up again. I think the progressive movement at its worst, I think, was when they were defending Muslim women who said that they wore hijabs as like in honor of their femininity or whatever. I think that was the cringiest, craziest point I think that progressives had ever reached, because they were so desperate to be in opposition to conservatives and Islamophobia that they were like, actually, we think the hijab is a good thing. It was like, if you want to wear a hijab, that's fine. I don't think anybody should be opposed to that. The problem was when you mandate it. That's kind of unhinged. 22-year-old Kurdish Iranian woman, Mahsa Amini, also known as Gina Amini, died in a hospital in Tehran, Iran, under suspicious circumstances. The Guidance Patrol, the religious morality police of Iran's government, had arrested Amini for allegedly not wearing the hijab in accordance with government standards. The Law Enforcement Command of the Islamic Republic of Iran stated that she had a heart attack at a police station, collapsed, and fell into a coma before being transferred to a hospital. However, eyewitnesses, including women who were detained with Amini, reported that she was severely beaten and she died as a result of police brutality, which was denied by the Iranian authorities. The assertions of police brutality, in addition to leaked medical scans, led some observers to believe Amini had a cerebral hemorrhage or stroke due to head injuries received after her arrest. I feel like there is a special kind of the men who beat women or children, that is like an inconceivable level. Like it's the same, not to dehumanize women, but like in my mind, it's like the same level as like beating like a cat or a dog. Or like that's just like an unhinged, I feel like you have to be an insanely evil, crazy person to be, Jesus, that's like, Ugh. But Amini's death resulted in a series of protests described by CNN as more widespread than the protests in 2000. Okay. Well, it's a little unhinged. Pretty sure it's women. There's female morality police and stuff. You think she was being beaten by women officers? I'm sure there might be female morality police. Maybe. I actually don't even know in Iran if they would allow them to be women or not. Maybe they would be. The outfit is kind of like badass. Like it looks like a actual like wizard witch that's like coming to do some crazy shit. But instead it's actually just people oppressed by an insanely sexist society who probably aren't even allowed to go to school. I don't know that to be true or not. I don't know in Iran if women are allowed to attend school or not. Education. Since the 60s and 70s, a lot of education was built in Iran, especially many setbacks. 2012, the Mayor News Agency posted a bulletin. 36 universities in the country had excluded women from 77 fields of study as part of an effort by Parliament to put a quota on women's participation in higher education. Jesus.
I don't think that's a metric for women's liberty.
2018, there were less than 5% of university-educated young women, which should be higher, in Kazvin and Hormozgan provinces as the lowest unemployment rate in Iran. Iranian women activists determine education is a key for the country's women's society. Jesus. Okay, so anyway. So Hasan was just defending this?
What the fuck? I mean, they can't right now because the internet's shut off, but I think that's what it is.
Wait, is this true? Hold on. Fuck me. I try to be careful because I don't want to instantly just believe unhinged shit written about. So to be clear, I don't defend any religious fundamentalists or the crazy Islamic shit, even though some people think I simp for Islam because I'm not willing to blame every problem on Islam. But I try not to also, because there's a lot of like dumb shit that people in the West say, but there is like some crazy shit over here. It's just hard to sort through the bullshit. Breaking all the rules. Being a woman dancer in Iran means no identity. In Iran, women are not allowed to dance in public. Is there like a link to a law? Are there like a moral guidelines in Iran or whatever? Is that actually true? I feel like there was a chess tournament a few years ago where if you were going to Iran to play chess as a woman, you had to wear a head covering. And I thought some women players protested that. Am I making this up? Top Iran chess player exiled. Exiled? Like kicked out of the country? One of the world's most prominent chess players, 25-year-old Sarah Kadim, decided to play an international tournament without her headscarf in solidarity with the protest movement in Iran. Oh, was it not even in Iran? Instead, she can't return to Iran. There are arrest papers waiting for her, and she now lives in exile in southern Spain, where her husband... Jesus, okay. Women in Iran are required to wear headscarves in public, even when abroad. Jesus.
I don't think that's a metric for women's liberty.
Female chess players protest wearing hijab at Iran World Championship. Some of the world's top female chess players... This is in 2016, which can be held in Iran, where players are expected to wear headscarves. The U.S. Women's Championship, Nazi Pegide, whatever Barnes, will not be taking part in the event. Her first name is Nazi. I'm so sorry. She must have lost out on so many jobs or dates or whatever. And it's like, what's your name? Nazi. Iran has hosted chess tournaments before, and women were always forced to wear a hijab. We don't see the different. We don't see this event being any different. This is such a woman-coded thing. Like if this would never happen to men. Not that I'm not trying to be too soy, but like there would never be this type of tournament held somewhere where men were expected to adhere. Like this wouldn't even be a question. It would like obviously be like this is stupid. We're obviously not hosting this here. But since it's women, it's like just do this symbol of religious sexist oppression and shut the fuck up about it. It's just fucking unhinged. Iran was the only country which made a proposal to host the event. The World Chess Federation spokeswoman told CNN in a statement. She added that since there were no objections from any of the other 150 national chess federations, including the U.S. FIDE's General Assembly, including the U.S. FIDE's General Assembly, accepted the proposal. Nice.
Ay, ay, ay. Oh, I heard Iranian women aren't able to eat processed live foods and consume Valium. No, I mean, okay. I'm not discounting the forms of repression that especially heated up in Iran a couple years prior. Okay, they did.
Okay, a couple years prior because of October 7th. Find a way to blame it on the West. Find a way to blame it on the West. Remember, every minority and everybody that's not American and not white is a retarded child who's constantly driven by the white man in the West. You can do it, Hasan. Did somebody just link him something and he just read something and now he's like 180ing his opinion? Or, okay, let's go.
They did. Since then, after a tremendous amount of struggle, imprisonments, and even deaths in the process.
Oh, somebody must have linked him something and now he's like, oh shit.
The Iranian government had to loosen a lot of these restrictions in at least certain parts of Tehran.
That's a very qualified statement. They had to loosen, not get rid of, but they had to loosen parts of these restrictions in certain parts of the capital. Okay.
As a direct consequence of the bravery of the Iranian women and men that fought against this. Having said that, none of this justifies bombing Iran.
True. Do you see what I mean when I say there are people that work, you start with the ideology and then you work backwards from there? So it's like if somebody says something bad about Iran, well, the United States is the West, they oppose Iran. Iran is an enemy of the US, therefore Iran good. Are women allowed to dance in Iran? Well, women dancing would be good. So yeah, of course they're allowed to dance in Iran. What a stupid thing to say otherwise, right? Like they always start with the ideology before any kind of factual investigation. It's so stupid, but whatever.
And yes, currently as it stands, Iranian women are allowed to dance.
Inside or?
They will dance. They will dance again.
Good one. Fuck it, retard. What is this? Strategies for developing a culture of chastity. rc.majlis.ir. Is that the top level domain for the Iranian government? Approved by the Moon Ruins session of the Supreme Council for the Cultural Revolution on blah, blah, blah. The Supreme Council for Culture will improve the strategies for developing a culture of chastity within the framework of principles of the implementation methods for developing a culture of chastity as follows. Constantly explaining the high and prestigious position of women in Islam and comparing it with other schools of thought in order to feel superiority of the Muslim woman's personality over women's other school and to avoid turning to false attraction of the personality, strength, the foundational belief of morality, blah, 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 blah. Oh, are these like links to other things? Or why is the text on the right side? Some people write right to left and it's cringe. I think Hebrew and Arabic might both do this. I think they do. Destiny, do you think Hasan knew anything about this region before October 7th? Apparently he grew up in Turkey, so he must have, right? I just want to say this very cautiously, okay? Just remember as a whole, religion is not whatever broad brush people want to paint things as, where they pretend that all of a religion is the same. People love to do this with Islam. Sometimes people do it with Christianity or certain sects. My understanding is that Turkey might even be officially an Islamic country. I'm not sure, I'd have to go check. But my understanding is that Turkish people, especially like middle-class wealthy people, tend to be pretty secular. That's a very anecdotal understanding given from, oh, they are a secular nation officially? Okay. That's my very anecdotal explanation given to me by, I've known quite a few people from Turkey, and they've said that like Turkey is a fairly, like the people are like fairly secular. This also happened recently.
The Iranian judiciary has said that no charges are being filed against a student who stripped to her underwear in an apparent anti-hijab protest at a university in Tehran earlier this month. You may remember the pictures. 30-year-old Au Daryeh removed her clothes after being confronted by security guards over how she was wearing the hijab. The footage that you see there went
confronted by security guards over how she was wearing the hijab. That's wild.
Viral. Well, let's speak now to our Middle East regional editor, Sebastian Usher, to get more on this. And Sebastian,
7 months
tell
ago.
us more. Do we know where she is? Does this mean
when this YouTube video was published? When did they say the arrest was? How long ago?
she's now been released?
I don't think we can be sure about that as yet. We haven't heard from her family. We haven't heard from her.
University in Tehran earlier this month. You may remember the pictures. 30-year-old her underwear in an apparent anti-hijab protest at a university in Tehran earlier this month. You may remember the pictures. 30-year-old Au Daryeh removed her clothes after being confronted by security guards over how she was wearing the hijab. The footage that you see there went viral. Well, let's speak now to our Middle East regional editor, Sebastian Usher, to get more on this. And Sebastian, tell us more. Do we know where she is? Does this mean she's now been released?
I don't think we can be sure about that as yet. We haven't heard from her family. We haven't heard from her. All we've heard from is the judiciary spokesman in Iran who announced that charges and indictment wouldn't be made against
So what, was she locked up for, 2 weeks over that?
her, and saying that she had been taken to hospital and there it had been determined that she was sick, that she was ill, and that therefore she would be returned to her family. We haven't heard anything from her since November the 3rd, which is before she would be against her, and saying that she had been taken to hospital and there it had been determined that she was sick, that she was ill, and that therefore she would be returned to her family. We haven't heard anything from her since November the 3rd, which was when this incident happened. There she was seen in her underwear walking through the campus of the Islamic Azad University in the Iranian...
Actually, she's not walking here, but...
in the capital of Iran, and there was images of...
Well, Michael Marty, thanks for the 5 minute subs!
Later after that, of a car where it said that she was being bundled into that car by security guards. Now, the reports were that she had removed her clothing after she had been confronted by guards who were saying that she wasn't wearing her hijab.
Library of Congress, so... Who knows if this is biased or not, but the requirement for women to wear the hijab in Iran has its origins in the 79 Islamic Revolution, when Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini declared it mandatory for women in public. Immediately afterward, became a strict regulation under Book 5 of Iran's Islamic Penal Code. According to Article 638 of the code, women who are seen in public places or on roads without wearing an Islamic hijab may face penalties ranging from 10 days to 2 months of imprisonment, or a fine ranging from $5,000 to $50,000 tomans, or about 10 cents to $1 USD. Additionally, Article 639 states that women can be charged with prostitution or the promotion of prostitution if they refuse to wear the veil or advocate for a woman's right to dress as she wishes. This offense carries a punishment of 1 to 10 years of imprisonment. Today, however, an increased number of women are choosing to disregard the law and appear in public without wearing a headscarf. This trend has gained momentum, particularly since the nationwide women life and freedom protests triggered by the death in police custody of Mahsa Amini, the woman we read about earlier, 22-year-old Iranian Kurdish woman who was detained in September 2022. Amini's arrest was based on allegations that she had violated the dress code, and her demise further amplified the defiance of the law.
Hijab, her headscarf, the mandatory headscarf in the appropriate way, and that this was a protest. We haven't, as I say, heard that directly from her, but very much she's been taken up as a symbol of defiance by many in Iran and outside who are still, after the protests which erupted more than 2 years ago now, after the arrest and the death in custody of the morality police of Mahsa Amini, which led to large-scale protests. Although those protests were put down, many in the younger generation, particularly in Iran, still want to see major change, major reform in the country, and much of that has focused on the way that women are dressed and the rules and regulations that Iranian authorities lay down for them. And just recently, in the past few months, the Iranian authorities have actually made the restrictions and the penalties for not wearing those clothes even stricter. So I think we have to wait to see what we hear from her family and from this woman about what has happened. This could be taken as good news to an extent, but time and time.
Why would you defend this? What's wrong with you?
Women.
Well, I'm saying that facetiously. He's defending it because they hate America. And remember what Hasan said in the past. I need to have on the soundboard that clip of like, if you take the opposite position of America, you're probably right.
And can't post TikTok dances. What?
So this sounds like a joke to him because this would be like an extremely crazy thing, but it's true. I think he thinks that this is just like a fictitious thing created by. It's so funny that the reality of Iran is so crazy that Hasan's assumption is that it must be Islamophobic to assume that this is a true thing, but it actually is the reality.